braces.
Okay. Have you ever heard of a person with a short, stabilized rifle, whatever, coming and using it to defend somebody, a good guy with a gun?
I don't know, but these are lawful weapons, and I assume that people who follow the rules use them for all the lawful purposes that they can be used for.
Do you have to put your gun together to stabilize it, or do you kind of take it around? It's like a...
When people, basically the rule deals with this situation, which is there are short-barreled rifles that are sold in one piece. And then what happened in the market was people designed stabilizing braces that could be attached to large frame pistols so that basically you were making the exact same weapon in two pieces.
Right.
Those weapons are not banned. They have never been banned. Congress just determined there was increased controls that had to be imposed on those.
But to the best of your knowledge, nobody's ever used one of those to defend somebody.
I wouldn't know.
Mostly they're used by people who go out with the intent to kill people.
Well, we don't seek to investigate and monitor the conduct of law-abiding citizens who are using firearms for lawful purposes. That's not what we do at ATF.
President Trump asked ATF to work with the bump stocks, right?
That happened in the last administration, that is correct, after the Las Vegas massacre.
And Mr. Jordan made a point about some issues. He said it was not passed by the House and the Senate and signed by the President. That wasn't passed by the House and the Senate and signed by the President, was it? It was just Mr. Trump asked that it be done.
My understanding is those rules were issued, and our legal papers, there's hundreds of pages with our position on this that are public, was passed under the same rulemaking authority that Congress gave under the National Firearms Act.
Do you have any knowledge of whether or not there were members of Congress who wrote to the ATF after Mr. Trump did this and said, this is a usurpation of our power and we're up on this hill and overlooking the executive?
There is litigation with a massive administrative record. There are letters from interested groups and members of Congress. I don't know, but that would be the place to look to see about that.
Memphis has a crime problem and a gun problem, and I have met with your representatives in Nashville and Memphis both, the Nashville Field Division, and we appreciate what they're doing, and the police department appreciates what they're doing too. They help them in quite a few cases. Most crimes in Memphis are committed with handguns, and recently I've heard about Glock switches that have been confiscated in Memphis at the port and recovered by Memphis police. Can you tell us what a Glock switch is and why they're so dangerous and what the ATF is doing about them?
Glock switches are small devices. They actually can look innocuous and sometimes blend with the firearm, but they convert a semi-automatic pistol into an unlawful, fully automatic machine gun. They override some of the functions to do that. And I have met with chiefs around the country. I think one chief, I remember him saying to me very vividly when I asked what the problems are, he says, it's raining Glock switches. So, you know, if you're executing a search warrant as a police officer and you're knocking, police with the warrant, in that time it took me to do that, now the person on the other side of the door might be able to fire 40 rounds through the door. It's an extremely dangerous situation for the American public and for law enforcement.
How are Glock switches regulated?
They're unlawful. So machine gun conversion devices under the National Firearms Act are unlawful. And they are hard to detect. They are flooding it into our community. People are printing them on 3D printers. It is a significant public safety threat. And we are working as hard as we can with what we have with our local partners to try and get ahead of that. But it's hard. So
that's part of what you get is an increase. What you do is you have to look after Glock switches too.
Of course, when people...
Let me ask you this. We only have a few seconds left. The red flag laws have been discussed in the last bill, the quote-unquote bipartisan gun bill. We had some incentives for states to have red flag laws. Would the administration support a federal red flag law? And,
again, I think, you know, the president has been clear on the various things that he has called on Congress to do. As ATF director, my job is to take what comes out of that debate and squeeze every last bit of public safety out of it.
Thank you for your service, and to the gentlemen and the ladies who work with you, and God bless them.
Gentleman yields back. Gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Johnson, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act is a law that provides important immunity to manufacturers and sellers of firearms from being liable when people misuse their products. There have been numerous instances, whether intentional or unintentional, of Biden administration officials and anti-gun advocates, and even the president himself, mischaracterizing that immunity provision, that's contained in the statute. And I think the public would benefit from our setting the record straight on the issue. So